Prophet for the end of time, shown magical wisdom. Have you ever seen or been in a time or space altering effect? Let's go through a bunch of them here just really quick. Have you ever seen it where time slowed? In the middle of a fight or car accident, near-death experience, or emergency, in which case it definitely felt like you were moving at normal speed and everyone else was slowed, or possibly even you were moving extremely fast and they were just at normal speed, so they looked slowed. Something or someone fell, or falling is usually a big one. You can tell that they were slowed or that time was slowed because they didn't fall at the right speed for gravity. Did you need more time one time? And there was just no way. You knew it's a 2-hour job, but you only had an hour left. Somehow in your mind, it still did take you 2 hours, but you still got it done within the hour. Have you ever seen time slowed like that? Number two, have you ever seen time speed up? A lot of people confess this one. They have missing time. So they usually without a watch, they go to the mountains or something. You have an internal clock and you know how long time is. And your internal clock says you were gone, an hour, hour and a half, but a regular clock says that 5 hours had passed. And the thing about it is it's very disturbing to you. You know for sure that something's wrong with this time thing that just happened. Okay, moving on to protection. Force field, a lot of times this is in a car accident, or you in a rollover where other people were injured and thrown out of the vehicle, but you yourself without a seatbelt on was completely protected. Many people see that one. Have you maybe been in a fight with or even seen someone who got in a fight with someone else who had weapons, maybe a bat or something, and somehow their flesh, it appeared as if it protected them against this bat. They didn't have bruises or otherwise, even though you saw them take hits. Or usually a big one is a child is near injury. A lot of times a young child, let's just put an example, he's going to fall 4 or 5 feet onto the concrete. Everyone reaches out their hands to try to save him, but he still falls, but yet he doesn't receive a single injury. Have you seen this happen and you knew something was a little iffy about it? Like how did that child not get injured, or how did you not get injured when you fell, or so forth? Have you seen or had someone have superhuman strength or power where they lifted something incredibly heavy or bent or broke bars or otherwise? So if your answer was no, just turn this video off. Yeah, you said no. If some of these things have happened to you, then I will teach you how to use it. I will teach you how to do it again. And for those that know shown magical wisdom, I'm about to teach what I got black bagged for. Oh yeah, that's right. The government comes and they send 5, 6 black SUVs with a bunch of guys in black suits, and no one knows where you went for weeks and weeks. That happened to me for teaching. So let's see what I was teaching. Number one, we're going to have to teach the stuff that you want to know on that page. How did that time-altering effect happen? Let's go to school for a minute. Space is a place, it's a location, a place of movement, change, or growth that can have an existence. That can. Doesn't mean that there will be movement, change, or growth, but it can happen if you have space. Time is a measurement. That's very important to what I'm about to teach you. It's a measurement of this movement, time, or movement, growth, or change inside of this space here that is observed. So time is a measurement that's observed. We will learn that over and over and over again. Time is a measurement that is observed. It's not a real thing. It's a measurement. To teach you, we got to go back to the beginning. So we're going to use everything I know about the universe, which obviously, if it's true, then it should match both your science and your religion. First of all, we have the Spirit of God over here, and it tells us in our religion that God came across the deep. So here's the waters in the deep, and God's dimension here that he is in. He is a spirit, as it tells us. He does have space and time because he's moving and he's creating. So this dimension he's in does have space and time. Our science and everything tells us that everything came from this singularity, that God is using the force, which is what we're going to go through here in creation and learn what it is that's out there. So There is no space and time inside the singularity, and this is how the creation looks when it first starts. Is this what it says in your Bible? Yes. Is this what it says for science? Yes. So they're both here at once. Let's see the creation in action. Number 2, it should tell you that God divides the waters from above from the waters below, in which case he is making a platform to do the creating. Do we understand this? We say we do, but it looks a little better if you put it on paper. You can actually see it. So we have God the Spirit over here creating, and he's in his waters or his deep, and we don't know the dimension. We'll get there. We don't know what dimension he's in, but he's creating over here where we have the singularity and we have the force pushing and pulling everything, in which case we have the divider here from the waters, and from this new divided waters, this area, this space that was created by God. We do know from science that it's not a vacuum. This is not a vacuum. They've proven over and over that it's calling it space-time or dark matter, in which case it's a material we don't quite understand, but it interacts with everything around it. So it's not a vacuum. And the force I'm teaching here, you said you had one of these time-altering effects happen to you. The force is actually pushing, not pulling on the singularity, which is why science is having a rough time with it, and they're trying to add dark matter and dark energy to their models. If you just use the force, in which case you're pushing instead of pulling, you would have the exact amount of force needed. The problem is they cannot introduce religion into science. So our religion tells us that it is God that is doing the creating, and they cannot come up with this energy that would be pushing unless they believed in a higher source. So, does this answer all the questions that are in front of us? It does. God has his space. He's ready to create. He's got the dark matter here. He's got the singularity held back, and we are ready to do this. Let's see what God creates and how he creates. So he's got the area, and the matter comes out. Now, the first thing I would like to do is show... let's see if it's here. Excuse me for just one second. I just want to show this real quick. Here's something. The space dimension that we know is length, height, and width. I really don't want to get into it because do I agree with this? Yes, for space itself, you can locate, if this was your star, you could locate your planet, etc., etc. This is the space that we know. I just want to throw it out there and let you know that these are the 3 dimensions of your space, in which case we have these dimensions here, and we are about to create these dimensional items, starting with gas. So how does God create? All matter is atoms or energy vibrating. This is something that Einstein taught us and has been accepted since all science has come to this conclusion, which is matter is a little different than matter itself. Like as we think of it in the mind, it's actually vibrating. That's all. It's just energy or atoms that are vibrating at a certain frequency, and thus we see them as, let's start with gas. So God creates with the force, and he makes this matter that is coming out of the singularity, he makes it vibrate like this. And when it vibrates like this, it makes a gas. And of course, under this vibration, you would have, a dozen different decibels of gas, which you flex it just a little bit of the force. The force can cause this thing to vibrate, can it not? Yes, that's what we're taught. So when God uses the force, it changes the matter coming out to gas. Then, as a liquid, he gives it more force in different areas. It vibrates differently, and thus it creates liquids. We move on to solids and lands. Again, he is maybe doing a double force here with a one down there, causing it to vibrate and hum like this, and that would cause the solid lands. And then you tweak that just a little bit and you get all the different materials that you're talking about. Moving on, as he creates with the force that Moses used to divide the waters from above from the waters below. Is Moses a man of God? Well, of course he is. What did God do? God divided the waters from above from the waters below and created space for you to live in. What did Moses do? Well, he divided the waters from above from the waters below and walked you across to the promised land. So he is a man of God, and we will see that more and more as we see these creations. So God is creating with what? The force. He is using it to vibrate the energy to create plants. Now we are using a double, I don't know, DNA. I guess it kind of looks like DNA. Double force. This is the vibration of it. So I guess it's making DNA here. In which case animals would have, this would be spirit plus material, and these would all be material. As I wrote it here, this is what I know. So this vibration, material. The double vibration would be plants. They now have a spirit and material. Animals would have, what am I trying to say? They would have movement. So they would have 3, because a plant can't move. It's stuck in its location. So the difference between spiritual matter that can't move and spiritual matter that can move is animals versus plants, and spiritual matter that has free will, which is not bound by nature. So animals are bound by this nature that they can't really undo, where humans have free will. So their force creation would look something like that. Humans and the force and the material that you were given here to create with, you wind it in there with a spirit, and each one of these creates. So do we understand how God created with the force to make vibrations to create all these things we do? So I remember another story in the Bible from this exact same person, Moses, who divided the waters from above and the waters below exactly like God did. He created two. He threw his stick down and gave it the force and turned it into a snake, from what I heard. Now, how did he do that? Well, he changed the vibration of the stick into an animal. He gave it a little spirit, alive. Are you sure? Because that's how God created. And it's in your Bible that that's what he did. I also heard he did something, not a Bible thumper, guys, because that's not the way it works. That's just what you guys believed in. But it does talk about how he also created, I'm not sure if it was grasshoppers or lice out of the sand. So he took the force and he applied the force to this material, this sand, and he took the exact same things that God did and he added it to it. And out of the sand, he created animals. Is that what God did? It is. It is. God created gas, liquids, solids, and then he created from those these plants, animals, and humans. So Moses is a man of God. He uses the force. He divided the waters from above and the waters below. He took his stick and made it a snake. He created lice or grasshoppers or something out of the sand. This is a man of God. Amazing. We are going to cover what happened in this event with these. You can take time to maybe write this down or something. This is pretty normal, but to adjust time, you need to adjust the distance or the speed, one or the two. And the same for the others. If you want to adjust the distance, then you need to adjust the time it took to get there or how fast you got there. Either one of these, see, will affect the other. So we need to learn this triangle really, really good for all the stuff I'm about to teach. So we'll come back to this all the time and look at it and see how it affected the thing that we were talking about. So now moving forward to the event that happened. Your prophet one day was in a tree, and there were witnesses here. Marcus, I love you, my friend, and Lisa, and 8, and Dominic, and maybe 1 or 2 others were here at this event. Okay, so this is an event like yours. We're going to go over this one today, and we'll go over others soon enough. So we will learn as we go. This day we were up gathering pinyon nuts, and I was in the top of a tree. This is me. This is your prophet. I was in the top of a tree doing something I knew better than to do. I was up in the top of a pinyon tree, high enough that you break legs for sure, falling that far. And I was out on a limb, shaking the tree to harvest the pinyon nuts out of it. And I knew better than to shake it as hard as I was and get out on that limb, but I was still in a hurry and I was doing it anyway. Anyway, to the story, there's witnesses down here. There's witnesses. Yeah, are you looking at it? There's witnesses down here. And when the branch breaks, I fall to the ground. A normal witness would say that it would take about 2 seconds to hit the ground and break your legs. 1001, 1002, poof, right? Witnesses say that either time was slowed or I was slowed, one of the two, because it took more like 4 seconds. And of course, as the story goes, when I hit the ground, it was more like I had just jumped off of 3 or 4 feet. I flexed a little in the knees, but it definitely wasn't like I just dropped 20 foot or so. Okay, so this event is a true story. As it happened, and we talked about it, the first thing that Marcus said was that he was very, very aware that my hair and my jacket here was just going nuts and crazy up in the air, but yet the day was very, very still. And that was one of the things he mentioned right away, was that he noticed this. So we all talked about it after this event happened. We said, that was crazy. You just floated out of that tree, or time was slowed or something. So let's take a look at what actually happened. So as the branch breaks and the tree begins to fall, what actually happens is over here. Your prophet, not actually knowing exactly how it is done either, as it always, for now, it happens in the moment. The force is used to move space-time, dark matter, and all that is here away from you to create a vacuum right here. I'm giving you the secrets. You move space-time to create a vacuum to slow the speed, and then, of course, that affects the time in which it took you to fall. So your prophet and witnesses swear that my hair and my jacket were just going nuts up here like this as I was falling really, really slow to the ground. No one could figure out if it was slowed time or a slowed fall, but if you slow the fall, then you have slowed time as well. Let me repeat that. If you slow the speed at which you fall, you have also slowed time. This is how your prophet fell out of a 20-foot tree and took 0 injury and appeared as if he had only fallen a few feet. Created a vacuum directly above me, mentally, out of no thought at all, you might say, in which case this vacuum slowed my fall as I fell. You can say it's not true, but you said yourself that some of those time-altering events have happened to you, and I will teach you how to do this. This is what will get you black-bagged. Lessons of a Jedi. To change time, you must adjust the speed or the distance And here are your tables again. You must. You must learn how to do it. And here we have the example again, actually. This ball falls at 2 seconds. You use the force to create a vacuum just above the object, in which case it falls at 4 seconds. Yes, this is how you levitate. The reason why most people can't levitate is because they are trying too hard to move the physical object. A Jedi knows to use the force to simply move the space-time around it and create a vacuum. And thus, with a vacuum just above it, you could levitate it. You could have it safely fall to the ground. You can do lots of things by creating that. One more thing. Lessons of a Jedi. Movement, how to increase your reflexes. So, how does Bruce Lee move so dang fast? Let's check it out. Does the Prophet know? Oh, I do. This is a normal punch over here. Everyone understands it. You are in a push scenario. So we call it the force, right? The force is known as pushing and pulling. Both. It's pushing and pulling. That's the force. So a normal person has an electrical current to move their muscles, and it runs down, and they push and they punch. And someone like Bruce Lee or others over the years, they increase the electrical current to also move space-time. So they have mastered increasing their electrical current, which affects space-time out in front of them, in which case they move the space-time, this dark matter, and all that's there, and it creates a vacuum. Now that the vacuum has been created out in front of the fist number one no longer has to go through the material there, and number two, the vacuum effect will pull your punch. So you now have the force both pushing and pulling on a Bruce Lee punch. The vacuum will pull your punch with extra quickness and power if you learn to use it. Come, Jedi. There's much to learn.